one of the things that kind of is in the board's mind clearly is that Musk was already promised this money. He achieved the goal. He has done what he was told to do. He's owed compensation for work done. We're not even talking about work going forward. This is kind of what he was owed, and that is the argument that Musk and the board is making.
Tim Higgins, business columnist at the Wall Street Journal. Thank you so much for joining the Tech Report today.
Thank you.
Well, we have to start off with this insane contract that has been given to a 24-year-old computer whiz. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta has dished out a crazy contract of $250 million to a 24-year-old computer whiz to work for his company. He's a university dropout. He was originally offered $125 million over a 4-year period. He turned it down. Zuckerberg came back, doubled it to $250 million. It is one of the largest employment packages in corporate history. So, Tim, your reaction to seeing this?
Yeah, it's kind of the era of show me the money, but it's only for a select few out there. And that is kind of the interesting part about this really vibrant and weird time in tech here in Silicon Valley, where some people are commanding just massive pay packages, people with expertise in artificial intelligence, really pushing the edge of technology, whereas others in tech, computer programmers, those folks who were commanding what was once seen as big paychecks, are really feeling the pressure as AI potentially replaces their jobs. And we've seen in the past year or so, tech companies really slimming down some of their workforces. So on one hand, a hiring boom if you're the right person. On the other hand, it's tough financial times. And this latest financial package, that sounds exciting, but we know from reporting here at the Wall Street Journal that Zuckerberg has been potentially even more generous with other really big stars in the AI field. The Journal reporting just the other day that one star was offered a package that exceeded $1 billion US. That didn't happen. Somebody turned it down. But it gets at the idea that individual hires have the potential of having huge and outside changes in this technology.
And it just goes to show, people are just wishing they had a crystal ball to preempt what jobs would be offering this amount, what they should be studying. It used to be law, it used to be science, and now it's, I guess, AI. But I wonder, Tim, with this hiring war going on in Silicon Valley, these big companies, they're fending each other off for this top talent. I wonder if they'll start going directly to MIT, to these Ivy League universities where these computer geeks are studying computer science, they're majoring in computer engineering, and going straight there to hire them straight out of university, or even get them to drop out like this 24-year-old.
Well, we've seen a hiring push for AI for the last few years. I remember talking to an AI expert in the self-driving car field just a few years ago. And his insight was that kind of the secret of AI is that it really, you don't need a huge team. You need really good kind of super soldiers to do some of this technologies. And there's not a huge number of these super soldiers out there. So it's a fight over a small group of people with certain expertise. And that expertise kind of changes over time, right? There's sometimes the focus is on computer vision. Sometimes it's on other parts of the AI field. One of the other kind of dynamics here that we're seeing, and why Zuckerberg probably is having to pay so much, is Meta Platforms, his company, formerly known as Facebook, is an established company. It's been public for a long time. These young people are looking at the potential of where the stock is going to go. A lot of times these comp packages are a lot about stock and the potential for the company to have upside. And they might be skeptical that they can see the same kind of returns as if they went to go to a startup, which is all about the upside, right? When we look at an organization like OpenAI, which is a complicated organization but has ambitions to have a profit side, and we could potentially see it going public down the road, huge ambitions, huge expectations for what that could be. We see these other startups raising huge amounts of money. It's at huge multiples and valuations off very little work that they have yet done, but it's all on the potential of the upside. So huge fortunes potentially there that Zuckerberg is having to compete with. And we see it even for Elon Musk. Elon Musk started his own AI company a while ago called XAI. And this was confusing to some people in the industry, especially his Tesla investors. Tesla, a publicly traded car company that he had kind of framed as an AI company working on self-driving cars. And Musk's defense of that, why are you doing an AI company outside of Tesla? And Musk, part of his defense for that was, well, it's different AI, but also it's to attract the kind of talent that he couldn't get to a publicly traded company where there was concerns about the upside and the potential for the stock. So he can make them these big pay packages on the potential of huge upside and valuation at XAI. And that's kind of appealing to some of these people. And we see him out there trying to pick off perhaps wounded soldiers at Meta who are upset that they don't get these kind of pay packages that they're seeing their new colleagues come in, right? So kind of waving the carrot of XAI's potential out there. So just multiple dimensions of chess here in the recruiting game in Silicon Valley.
And Elon Musk, he's come out on X earlier this week, Tim, and he said, no, he's a part of the poach game as well. He's doing just as well as Meta. He basically said that because what we've found is that Meta has been specifically trying to poach OpenAI top talent. And Elon Musk claimed that XAI has managed to poach Meta's talent. So he wrote on X that many strong Meta engineers have and are joining XAI. And without the need for this insane initial compensation, he says it's still great, but it's not that it's unsustainably high. Also, XAI has vastly more market cap growth potential than Meta, and we are hyper merit based. Do something great, and your comp can shift substantially higher. So, Tim, does XAI stack up in terms of sought after employment from this AI talent?
One of the things that I've heard in the past year or so is yes, in part because of Elon Musk. There is a group of people out there who are really inspired by him and the potential for him. And one of his kind of superpowers is painting a vision for a very technologically forward future, right? Whether it's robot cars, humanoid robots, going to Mars. These are exciting things. And he has shown an ability to get his companies to do many things that people thought were impossible in the past, right? Making reusable rockets that go into outer space, making electric cars not only profitable, but cool. And so when he talks about what AI has this potential to do, people are excited about that. And they think that perhaps XAI can kind of pull off some of these huge expectations, right? So they want to be part of his team. And that is a very valuable recruiting tool. The idea of going to work for kind of this legend and get to work with him closely and have this huge potential when he's saying, hey, we can make a lot of money together, right? So that's a huge carrot to wave out there.
He also spoke about Grok this week, Tim. He said, it's high time we open sourced Grok 2. We'll make it happen next week. We've been fighting fires and burning the 4 a.m. oil nonstop for a while now. Now, Grok, of course, is the AI tool that they use on X. And they came into a bit of a scandal last month when it was spitting out some pretty anti-Semitic language. So he was in trouble for that. But his Grok 2 is coming out. So I wonder what kind of advancements this second Grok will have.
Well, not just the kind of questionable anti-Semitic stuff that we've seen. Just in late, we have seen users using the image generator that he's unleashed as well. And the spicy mode with examples of perhaps famous people without their clothes on, really raising concerns about kind of the filters or the limits being placed, the guardrails, if you will, being placed. So that is kind of an ongoing kind of conversation around not just Musk's company, but just AI and generative AI in general. A broader conversation about this idea of companies like XAI, OpenAI, other kind of major tech players and their IP or the AI that they are creating versus this open sourced kind of method out there. Kind of, there's been a battle. We've seen in late Meta, which has been big on open source AI, uh, clearly making plans to have some non-open sourced AI. And the big player in open sourced AI is China at this point. And the concern among some in the U.S. is that China is out there with its open source AI, kind of seeding the ground, seeding the market for players around the world to take advantage of this technology. It might not quite be exactly what OpenAI is able to do, but it might just be good enough that it gets people kind of locked into that user environment, and it's built on a kind of a China worldview. And so when we talk about AI, we talk about the kind of competition among the players, the companies, but we also have to talk about it in the geopolitical sense, countries against countries.
Earlier in the week, Tim, it was revealed that Tesla is awarding Elon Musk $29 billion as an interim compensation package to keep him on as chief executive, to keep him focused. So he'll receive 96 million shares valued at $300 each as long as he stays in the job for another 2 years. Tim, can you walk me through this? Is this a win for Elon Musk, or is it a win for Tesla, or is it a win for both of them?
Well, it's most likely seen in Musk's eyes as a compromise, not good enough yet. Remember, we go back to 2018. Shareholders approved what would become a even larger pay package. At the time, it seemed ludicrous. It was based upon achieving a bunch of milestones, including getting market caps that seemed very unlikely for Tesla. He achieved these things. He was supposed to get this package. A shareholder lawsuit derailed that. A judge in Delaware has twice struck down that package. Musk is very salty about it. And he has said on multiple occasions, as recently as just a little bit ago, that he wants to have a larger ownership stake in Tesla because he's concerned about all the efforts he's doing to develop robots and AI. And if he's doing this, he wants to make sure that some activist investor can't come in and take control. And so he's saying, the way he frames it is, he doesn't want to have kind of dictator control of Tesla, but he wants to have enough control that he can block things that he doesn't like. And so there's this fight going on for his time. Tesla the board of directors have talked about this need to keep him focused at Tesla, to make it appealing to him. He has already done so much. They thought that huge pay package would keep him focused, as much as focused as they could. At the time, he was making the case he needed the money for his SpaceX and going to Mars. Now he's kind of making the case that it's about controlling AI. Whichever the case, whatever the motivations, it's clearly on his mind. This new package seems to be a compromise, a down payment, if you will. The board saying that they want to kind of bring this issue up again later this year when they have their annual shareholder meeting.
But would it also be seen as a bribe to keep his attention on Tesla as opposed to SpaceX, Starlink, XAI, X? We always forget about X. And then, of course, political ambitions.
No, he's got a lot on his plate. I don't necessarily a bribe, but it's kind of capitalism. It's buying his time, right? Buying that. Detractors would argue he already has a huge percentage in Tesla. His motivation should already be tied to it doing well. A lot of his wealth is tied to the share price of Tesla already. So there's that kind of element. But one of the things that kind of is in the board's mind clearly is that Musk was already promised this money. He achieved the goal. He has done what he was told to do. He's owed compensation for work done. We're not even talking about work going forward. This is kind of what he was owed, and that is the argument that Musk and the board is making. And they're trying to figure out a way to kind of pay him what he feels he's owed in kind of a legal environment where a judge has said what they did was not proper. So this is kind of a legal fight, and trying to figure out a way to make him happy, to keep him happy going forward. It's hard to imagine his threats are real when he talks about kind of not being at Tesla, because if he was to walk away from Tesla, the shares would, without a doubt, fall in value, right? which in turn would hurt his kind of wealth and his power as well. So it's kind of a chicken or egg situation. We could think of all sorts of cliches to talk about, but it's super complicated. And what they don't want is an Elon Musk out there complaining constantly about like leaving, and that because that worries investors. You saw the Tesla stock, rise on the news that this kind of interim pay package was approved.
Well, on a separate note, Tim, a group of Tesla shareholders have sued Elon Musk in a class action filed in Texas for not being honest about certain issues in regards to the Robotaxis. So the lawsuit read that investors failed to disclose problems that Robotaxi had, and it overstated the effectiveness of its autonomous driving technology. There was thus a significant risk that the company's autonomous driving vehicles, including the Robotaxi, would operate dangerously and or in violation of the traffic laws. So can you walk me through what this would have, what impact this would have on Musk's long-term goals when it comes to autonomous vehicles, especially the Robotaxi?
Yeah, well, without getting into the specifics of this specific lawsuit, let me just say that over the last few years, Musk has been party to several lawsuits along the lines of this, where investors are questioning some of the statements he's made. What they look at is the promises of the potential of Tesla, right? I think of going back to 2017, 2018, when Musk was making very ambitious comments about the future of the Model 3 sedan and saying kind of where the company was at with that, faced litigation following those kind of comments. And what the judge in that case found was that if you look closely at Musk's comments, that it was aspirational and he put a lot of wiggle room in there. And so you oftentimes, when you kind of try to nail down what Musk is saying, there's a lot being read by the market that goes beyond what he's actually saying. That has been the past. When it comes to robot taxis, he has made some pretty aggressive statements, some pretty aggressive promises. A lot of it oftentimes is kind of on the hopeful. He's hoping to do something. He's the first to often say that he misses a lot of deadlines. He's more ambitious and more optimistic than perhaps he should be, and that is kind of some of his success, some of how he pushes people, also why some of the times he's frustrating people. So when we get into kind of the details of kind of making the case, that's going to be the interesting part, because we have seen in other cases comments that seemed aspirational. And then you kind of look at the technology and they're not quite there yet. And so it's all going to come down to the details. The bigger challenge is probably a public relations challenge, and the idea that robot taxis require the trust of the user. And if there's a cloud hanging over them that they're not safe or they're not doing what is promised, some users might not want to use it. They might want to go to Waymo instead. So the bigger issue is convincing the governments, the regulatory bodies, users that in fact these products are safe. And that is kind of where the challenge for any robot taxi service in the future is going to lie, is building and holding that community trust.
Tim Higgins, thank you so much for joining the Tech Report.
Thank you.